Ladies and gentlemen, we'll move right along. You probably came here, and there were folks here I met from Santa Fe, from Pearland, probably Cleveland, because this was the closest place they could come to meet, to talk with, and to get to know Miss Debra Medina, candidate for governor, state of Texas.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming out. I hope you'll enjoy the party over there in a little bit, and I hope you'll share with those folks an invitation to vote in this upcoming primary. I got into this race a year ago, February 11th. Thursday was my birthday in this race. I got a baptism by fire with Mr. Beck. But you know what? I'm asking to be the leader of the great state of Texas, and those things are going to come. I've said from the beginning of this race, I'm an average, ordinary Texan. We Texans, this is a common sense, common values campaign. So we're not going to moan and groan about the hits that we get. And I'm here today to tell you I'm going to take some more, because we're over the target. We're over the target. When you're over the target, you get shot at. This has been, from the very beginning, a David and two Goliaths battle. You knew that. I knew that. When Goliath starts to swing that mighty club and he lands a few blows, they're going to hurt. Do not be distracted. We may even be knocked to our knees every now and then. But the victory goes not to the critic, right? But to the one in the arena who time and time again stands again and says, I am here to fight for the U.S. Constitution. I am here to fight for the principles of freedom and prosperity for our nation. And you can swing all you want, and you can kick all you want. I'm going to get up again, and we're going to take back the state of Texas. We're going to turn our nation. It was ironic, I think, that a question about 9/11 came. If you've listened to me, you have heard me say, I think we're asking candidates the wrong question frequently. Candidates are very good about political spin. We know the buzzwords to say. We talk about constitutional, conservative, limited government, ideals, and yet we keep getting bigger and bigger government. The first vote I ever cast was in November 1980, just after graduating from high school. I was able to vote for President Ronald Reagan. And I remember that we were going to get rid of the National Department of Education and the National Endowment of Arts. And today, they're bigger than ever. And as a Republican grassroots activist and as a county chairman in Wharton County, I have helped to elect what I thought to be conservative candidates, and I continue to get bigger government. I'm a registered nurse by profession. I graduated from the Baptist Hospital School of Nursing System in 1984. I've been practicing nursing in this state, and I have known in my professional career that life could change just instantly. 9/11 taught me that the life of a nation can change instantly as well. I had been saying for some time that we're not interviewing our candidates correctly. We want limited government, we want constitutional values, and yet we keep getting bigger and bigger government. We're not asking the right questions. And after 9/11, it kind of hit me. You know what we ought to be asking every candidate is, do you know the difference between policies that protect freedom and those that destroy it? You've heard me say that for over a year, but I don't often talk about that. Came out of seeing what our nation went through on 9/11 and understanding that that's really the job of elected leaders, isn't it? To protect life, liberty, and property, whether you're doing it from a bench on from a seat at the city council, a seat on the county commissioner's court, Austin, Texas, or Washington, D.C. The job of government in this constitutional republic is to protect life, liberty, and property. Do you know the difference between those policies? When the isms come to America, socialism, Marxism, fascism, communism, will you recognize it, or do you think it'll come with purple spots? Do you know the difference between policies that protect freedom and those that destroy it? As a teenager, I remember this nation seemed to compete with Russia in every way. And yet that nation had famine in the land, and it crumbled because the government took and took and took from the people. And when there's no freedom, when you don't keep what you work for, you quit working. It doesn't matter how many natural resources your nation enjoys. Man does not work when he does not get to keep what he's laboring for. Look over all of history, those nations that were most free and most prosperous. Read the writings of our founders. Understand why they wrote those documents the way they did. They got it. Private property ownership and gun ownership are the two essential elements of freedom. They are as crucial to freedom as air and water are to life. We're going to be courageous enough in this time in our country to restore freedom, or we're going to ensure that our children or our grandchildren will one day bleed to get back the freedom that we've let be stolen from us. I don't know about you, but I didn't think I could take any more oppression and tyranny. So in November of 2008, when someone asked me to run for governor, as much of a long shot as that was, I began to chew on that idea, and as more people asked and we chewed a little bit more, in February of 2009, I said, okay, I'll get into that arena and I'll fight those two Goliaths because I'm not taking this anymore. And from that the very first crowd that I addressed was about 30 people in Houston at a Carrabba's restaurant on Kirby. I said to them, I'm going to commit this to you today. I'm going to fight with everything I can to win this race. I've got 3 jobs to do. I've got to run a small business because candidates cannot draw a salary from their campaign. In the state of Texas, I've got to keep my business going because I got bills to pay. I got to run a statewide campaign, and I got to prepare to be governor. And I'm committing to you this day, and that was February a year ago, that I'm going to run with the aim of winning this race. But I'm telling you now that whether or not I win really doesn't have anything to do with me. It's up to you. How hard are you going to work between now and March 2nd, 2010 to get a victory? How much does it mean to you? We'll never compete financially with those two Goliaths, but we will compete with the sword of truth. We will compete with shoe leather. We will compete with shoe leather and elbow grease, and we can win this race if you want to win this race. And fortunately for Texas, many of you have decided you've had enough too, and you've stood shoulder to shoulder and arm in arm, and so we are over the target. We are statistically even with Kay Hutchison, and our trajectory is doing that, and theirs is doing this. This is a campaign, remember, that nobody was going to know anything about, and then she's just going to get a couple of points. And then, why didn't she just sit down? Because now she's going to cost us millions of dollars, and we're going to have a runoff, and doesn't she know that? Get out of the way. And then